Many aspiring school leaders spend a lot of time preparing for their interview, but what about after they actually land the role? The truth is, interviews don't test how you're going to lead under pressure, how you're going to navigate and lead adult dynamics, and how you're going to make a decision when there's no right answer. In today's episode, I want to talk to you about what it takes to build leadership readiness beyond the interview so that when you land the role, you don't just survive, but you thrive and you lead with confidence from day one. What's going on, aspiring school leader? I am Dr. Donovan Smalls II, founder and CEO of Smalls Leadership Consulting, and I am an educational consultant, best-selling author, school leadership coach, and on the Aspiring School Leader podcast, I help aspiring school leaders confidently land their first leadership role and lead with impact from day one. Now, today's topic, we are going to be talking about building readiness beyond the interview. Now, we know, and we spend a lot of time on this podcast talking about interview preparation because you have to be able to land the role before you can get in the role and lead with impact from day one. However, once you land the role, what actually happens? How are you going to lead effectively? So today we're going to be talking about building readiness beyond the interview. So let's jump right into our 3 keys in terms of building readiness beyond the interview. And key number 1 is shift from answer preparation to decision preparation. You know, when you prepare for your interview, you're focusing on your ability to answer questions. You want to articulate your leadership story. You want to make sure that you are aligning whatever it is that you say to the district's mission, vision, and core values. And we know that that is extremely important because without that, you probably won't actually land the role. But when it comes to leading beyond the interview, you have to start thinking about being a decision maker. And this is actually going to help you during your interview because the interview, the interview panel, the hiring committee is not actually going to be able to see how you lead. They're going to hire you based off of your potential. They're going to hire you based off of what you articulate in the interview. And because the interview is going to be highly focused on how you are going to articulate your leadership, you have to be able to talk about you as a decision maker because that's what school leadership is about. You are a decision maker. Most aspiring leaders are going to prepare for responses to the questions that are going to be asked during that interview. But ready leaders, the leaders that are going to get hired, they are going to prepare to make judgment calls. They are going to prepare to make decisions and articulate their decision-making skills in that interview. Interviews are going to reward articulation. But leadership rewards decision-making. So in your interview, right? Yes, we're talking about leading beyond the interview, but this is going to help you tremendously. Start demonstrating how you are going to be making decisions. Start demonstrating the level of decision maker that you are. Because when you get into that first leadership role, people are going to come to you before you even put your bags down in the morning to settle in. People are going to be coming to you with questions, with concerns, with things that have gone wrong, right? How are you going to make those decisions, specifically when you have a decision that's good and good, not necessarily good and bad, right? It's easy to make a decision when it's good and bad, but what about a decision when it's good and good or good and great? Because you have to also think about the implications even if both decisions are good. Right? Whatever you decide to do, you might come out on top in terms of what you do, but what are the implications based on the decision that you make? These are the things that you need to be thinking about. What if I make this decision, who is it going to affect? Who is it going to impact? Although it might be a great decision, it's still going to have some sort of impact somewhere. right? And so I need you to start thinking like a decision maker and articulate that in your interview, because when you articulate that into your interview, it's going to allow you to have a better chance of getting hired. And then you'll start thinking about, when you step into the role, how you're going to be making those decisions and prepare beyond that interview. Real leadership is choosing between imperfect options. Again, there are going to be so many times as a school leader, once you land that role, that you're going to be making decisions between things that are imperfect, right? And so how do you make that decision? What are your morals and values that you are going to be able to live by, that when people ask you to do things that you know aren't right, you're going to be able to stand 10 toes down on what it is that you actually believe in? That's another aspect of decision making that you have to be aware of and be cognizant of. Let's not get so high and mighty that we think that there are going to be times, or there aren't going to be times, where you're going to be asked to do things or expected to make a decision that you might not even agree with. What are you going to do during those times? These are the things that you need to be thinking about, because you are a decision maker. Yet at the same time, you have to be grounded in your own personal convictions about how to lead. Great leaders aren't defined by what they say in interviews, but by the decisions they make when there's no script. Every day as a leader is different. Every scenario is going to be different. There isn't going to be a blueprint and a checkoff list for you to go by to make a decision. There are going to be many times when you have to figure it out on the fly. What is going to ground you when you make that decision? It has to be your personal conviction in terms of who you are, number one. It has to also be some sort of decision-making framework that you start to develop once you get into that role, right? So take some time to observe. Take some time to see the gaps. Take some time once you land that first leadership role to make the connections with the right people, to see the type of decisions that you make and the implications of those decisions. All right. So key number one, shift from answer preparation to decision preparation. And again, although we're talking about leading beyond the interview or building readiness beyond the interview, that is going to help you out tremendously when you start shifting from just answering the questions from the hiring committee to actually start to answer the questions, but in a decision-making framework. All right. So key number two, learn to lead adults, not just manage tasks. There are many tasks that you're going to be responsible for, right? As an assistant principal, I have so many responsibilities that I am responsible for. It's easy to drown in the fact that these are all of the things that I have to do. So I'm going to lock myself in my office and I'm going to make sure I get these tasks done because they have to get done. There are deadlines for sure. Yet at the same time, you are responsible for leading. Leadership and management are two different things. They go hand in hand, yet at the same time, you are a leader. You are responsible for leading adults. How are you going to carry that out? Right? That is a question for your reflection. How are you going to carry that out? This is where most new leaders struggle. It's leading adults. They have no issue, no problem leading children. But when we lead adults, now we start to deal with fixed mindsets. Now we have to deal with people being stuck in their ways. Now we have to deal with the friction between you wanting to introduce a new initiative, or you wanted to do things differently because you see that there's a gap because you have a fresh lens, right? Yet at the same time, people want to revert to past practice, right? And there's a time and place when to do things traditionally or how things have been done, but we still need to make strides towards innovation. How are you going to deal with adults with fixed mindsets? Those are the dynamics that you are going to have to navigate, right? And so you have to be able to lead adults. And here's the thing. When it comes to leadership, we always hear that leadership is influence, right? But what does that truly mean? It's easy as a leader for people to look at you and follow you because you have a level of authority as opposed to influence. See, people might think to themselves, I'm following this person because I have to, as opposed to I'm following this person because I want to. That's two different mindsets when it comes to leadership. One is you leading because you have developed relationships. You have established a level of credibility based on the work that you do and the relationships that you have created and connected. So now you're leading with influence, right? You've shown your level of competency. You've shown your leadership disposition. You've developed authentic connections and relationships with your colleagues, with your teachers, to the degree where you can now lead through influence, right? People trust you at that point. But when you're leading from a place of authority, it's based solely, not solely, but mainly on the fact that you have a title of leader and you are their boss. You don't necessarily want to lead with authority. Is there a time and place when you need to step into your authority? Yes. But if you're leading from a place of influence, you have to lead. You're going to be leading from authority less than you actually think, right? Because people are going to want to follow you as opposed to, yes, I have to follow you, right? I hope that makes sense. You want to be able to lead with influence, not necessarily with authority. There is a time and place, but the primary way to lead is with influence. As a leader, when it comes to leading adults, you are going to have to navigate resistance, navigate emotions, and navigate politics. These are all things that are a part of leadership. And here's something that one of my mentors taught me. When you step into leadership, although we say we don't want to be involved in politics, you are involved in politics. You are. Because navigating relationships, right? Being able to be dynamic in your leadership to the point where you're leading adults, you're leading families, you're leading children, and you're among a team, right? A leadership team. So you just can't do things that don't align with the framework of your primary leader. These are all political aspects of leadership that we don't often talk about. And so this is another aspect. So if you're a person that's saying, I don't like the politics, and personally, I don't like the politics, but it does come with the territory of leadership. And if it comes with the territory, you need to be thinking about how you're going to navigate that. If your leadership preparation hasn't included hard conversations with adults, that is what you need to actually be preparing for, because it's going to happen. When you have to give someone an evaluation that isn't favorable, that's a hard conversation. When you have to make a decision that doesn't align with what one individual wants to do or what they think, that is a hard conversation that you are going to have. And you cannot run from that, because running from that would mean that you are running from leadership. And we don't do that, right? Leaders don't run from hard things. We are able to do hard things. So key number two in terms of building readiness beyond the interview is learn to lead adults, not just manage tasks. And lastly, key number 3 is develop your leadership identity before you're given the title. Who are you as a leader? And what are your leanings, right? This just came to me thinking about this. As leaders, we all have things that we are passionate about, right? I happen to be passionate about instructional leadership and systems thinking. Those are my two things, right? When it comes to issues that occur or things that aren't ideal, I'm constantly thinking about what are the systems that are in place right now, and how do we need to refine those systems so that we're not just putting a Band-Aid over something that actually needs surgery. How are we clearly managing our systems and leading our systems in a way that we're not just dealing with one specific issue, but we're actually creating systems that are sustainable, that go beyond an individual person or incident. Those are the things that I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about instructional leadership and how we can strategically support and develop our teachers, not just based on what I believe that they should be doing in terms of their professional practice, but what are their personal goals as well, right? How can I support them in their personal goals so that we can get on the same page about what instruction looks like? We can collaborate, true collaboration, not just me saying or listening and hearing them out, but how do we work together to figure out a solution to improve student achievement, right? Those are the things that I'm thinking about. And your leanings might be like safety and security. Your leanings might be, it might be leadership and management in a different area, right? But what are the things that you are strategically focused on within your role and the things that you have to do that you can be known for among your staff? So here's some of the things that I need you to think about in terms of your leadership identity. Knowing how you lead under stress and pressure. Do you need additional time to make decisions? Right? If an email comes to you that is unfavorable from a parent, they have a true concern and they might be attacking you personally. Are you the type of person that's going to fire right back at them and then get into some sort of confrontation, or do you need time to cool down? Are you going to be calm, cool, and collected in those situations? Right? You need to learn how you lead under stress. Understanding your values are a non-negotiable, because there are going to be times when your values are tested. So once you know your values, you are going to know what you stand for, because if you don't stand for something, you're going to fall for anything. You want to avoid reactive leadership. Once you land that first leadership role, you want to avoid reactive leadership. And typically, reactive leadership comes from feeling offended in the moment. You feel like somebody said something that they shouldn't have said, or they didn't do what you requested for them to do, or you asked them to do. You might feel offended in the moment and start to operate from a place of reactive leadership. So now you find yourself doing things to people instead of doing things with people. You do not want to be a reactive leader. You want to be a leader that is going to calmly assess a situation, right? And that might mean that you have a journal on your desk so that you can get out your frustration prior to having a difficult conversation with someone. So you get all your thoughts out, you get everything you need to say out, and the person actually never sees it or hears it, and then you can answer like an actual leader. These are the things you need to be thinking about when you step into that first leadership role. Titles don't create leaders. Clarity does. So know who you are. Study yourself. These are the things that I want you to be thinking about in terms of building your leadership readiness beyond your interview. So as an aspiring leader, the risk isn't failing an interview. The risk is stepping into leadership without the thinking, confidence, and clarity the role demands. Building readiness beyond the interview isn't optional anymore. It's what protects you once you're hired. This is exactly why I work one-on-one with aspiring school leaders. Interview prep matters for sure, and we talk a lot about that on the Aspiring School Leader podcast. But leadership readiness is the next step. It's what sustains you. If you're serious about stepping into school leadership, prepared, confident, and grounded, that work has to happen before the title. So join my Elevate Your Impact coaching program. It's a 4-week interview launch. In this program, we help you polish your resume, refine your leadership story, go through real scenario-based questions so that you can actually be prepared with confidence for your interview. This 4-week experience builds on your personalized interview strategy and helps you master your message, positioning, and performance so you're fully interview ready in 30 days. I want you to go to donovansmalls2.com/coaching or click the link in the description to gain more information about how we can work together. I hope you enjoyed this episode. As always, I hope you have a great week of teaching, leading, and learning. Take care.